All right. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to Authbition. It's authenticity and ambition. It's the best of the best, bringing together vulnerability, non-attachment, caring, thoughtfulness, and whole-mindedness. It's been a pretty crazy week. Last Wednesday, I flew up to Boston. I was there pretty much all day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Came back early on Saturday morning and landed. Wife picked me up from the airport, got home, changed into a bathing suit, and walked about 5 or 6 blocks over to a friend's house and hopped in their pool and hung out for the afternoon. So that was really nice. I was up in Boston, um, visiting with very brilliant medical innovators. I've got the incredible opportunity to be a mentor to medical innovators. So very, very cool stuff. And uh, after 3 days of a lot of work, which is it's fun work because it's social work. I mean, social activity and working at the same time. Um, but spent a nice happy hour at Trillium, one of my favorite spots in Boston. Trillium's got such good beer, and gosh, the folks that came out just kind of put out a beacon and said, "Hey, I'm going to be, doing a happy hour." And I had a college buddy who lives in Boston show up. Um, I had a portfolio executive's wife represent the team who I didn't know. She showed up. That was really fun. I had a project facilitator, their assistants. Um, show up. I had a former student show up. Gosh, I felt so much love. I felt like the luckiest guy in the world to have everybody show up like that, just by saying, "Hey, I'm in town." What a what a wonderful thing. I think at the end of the day, when I think about what I'm most ambitious about, it's it's about relationships. It comes down to that. So um, that's the context. I'm back here in my office in Raleigh, North Carolina. Um, the essay that I'm going to read today, it's by far one of the most read. I think it's the third or fourth most read essay that I've got on Medium. It was published in the Narrative Arc, and the editor, wow, when I submitted this, I thought it was just okay. And her comments made me discover a whole new meaning to what I was writing. Just absolutely incredible. Um, what what an editor brings to a story, and I've talked about that before. I can't say enough about the editors and the narrative arc and the job that they did on this particular essay. But what it gets into is a new practice that I've been working on for a little while now, maybe a couple of months, but it's really starting to blossom. And it's about taking our biggest fears, finding what I'm afraid of, trying to pay attention to what I might be afraid of, and and saying I love you, and then watching how that unfolds. It's like impossible to hold um, fear and love in the same space. And so by just saying I love you to a thing that I'm afraid of, it kind of disarms it. And one of the parts of Authbition is whole-mindedness. It's the best of the best. It's finding the best of opposing things. So, like fear and love, can you find the best thing about the thing that you fear, which is pretty cool. And gosh, I think I was at a conference, and I wasn't listening to people say their names and introduce themselves because I was trying to think about what I was going to say. I was in my own head thinking about what I was going to say. And I was like, why am I not paying attention to the people that are talking? I must be afraid of forgetting what I'm going to say. So this one is about the fear of forgetting. It's called Dear Forgetting, I Love You. I'm going to share the screen because for those of you that are watching on YouTube, because I just love the photo. So I I think you can see this here. Um, Dear Forgetting, I Love You. I've become a better listener by being vulnerable, and this picture's got me like kind of in outer space, and I titled it Not Listening, and the photo is by my wife. So I think that's just kind of hilarious. So anyway, I'm gonna stop sharing, um, and I'm gonna get into reading this one. I'm gonna try to do it like I did last week and just not try to get every word for word and see if I could still get the story across in a way that's easier to listen to. Let's put it that way. Dear Forgetting, I Love You. I've become a better listener by being vulnerable. Where are you right now? Abby said. She's great at reading my body language. I'm sorry. I was writing. You have my attention now, I said back. I look intently at her and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Andrew, make eye contact. Stay focused on the eyes. Look at her eyes. Stay locked on the eyes. Uh-oh. What did she say? All I can hear is me reminding myself to look at her eyes. Shoot. Shut up and listen. I'm not a good listener. In business meetings, it's essential to focus on the client. I do listen, and it's intentional, but it's not easy. I've attacked the problem from every angle. Remove distractions, turn off the radio, silence the ringtone, put the phone in a separate room, take attentive notes, make eye contact. Um, these hacks work well in a professional setting, especially here on Zoom, where I can control the environment. It's like a little bit easier to have my notes. My notes are right here. I'm looking at the camera here, so you might see me, or the picture that I showed you was over here. I can control that in Zoom. Um, and it's when I'm relaxed, though, that's when the trouble really begins. I'm comfortable with loved ones, my wife especially. I stare into her eyes and think, Andrew, pay attention. You want to hear this. But instead of listening, I float into space. Listening is the tip of the iceberg. My inner dialogue is a self imposed distraction from the many joys of life. That shooting star, I missed it. That bear in the woods behind the tree with the vibrant red leaves stood out to you, I missed it. I was holding out to some idea. I ruminate and repeat in an infinite loop. Without a trusted advisor to break me of that cycle, this can get dangerous. Why? One of my greatest strengths is persuasion. When I'm in my own head, I can convince myself to do anything. If I have a potential partner who doesn't challenge me, I can suck them into a venture destined for failure. This has burned me in business and relationships. My first serious girlfriend was in high school. I threw the lasso around the moon and pulled her in, just like George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. But the life I built was pure fantasy. It was my fiction, without listening to the girl. We were both so innocent. Eventually, she came to her senses and broke up with me. It shattered my universe, the space I'd invented between my ears. She opened my eyes to what happens when taking a relationship for granted. I began building an arsenal of tactics to be a better listener. 34 years after graduating from high school, I still work on being attentive and staying present, and I'm doing well at it. But it's not easy. And this is where yoga enters the story. May I live with ease. A yoga instructor introduced me to metta meditation. It's a loving kindness mantra that goes like this: May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. It starts with the self and then repeats to loved ones, neighbors, and everyone everywhere. May all the people of the world be safe, happy, healthy, and live with ease. It began naively as a date when Abby suggested we go to a yoga class at the YMCA. I kept going back because it made my body feel so good. A decade later, yoga is more about mind than body, and it's blossomed into meditation, coaching, seeking new knowledge, spiritual wonder, and self study. I call it all yoga because it's the beginning, and it converged my mind and body into one. But that's another story. This is about being a better listener. Yoga taught me that suffering is resistance to the source rather than the source itself. I used to have lower back pain. When getting a massage to work it out, I wondered why the therapist spent so much time on my neck and shoulders instead of where I felt the pain. She was smarter than I. The source of my lower back pain was the stiffness in my upper, previously hunched back. It's a little stiff right now, actually. Um, but my lower back pain wasn't from being hunched, it was from the weight I carried on my neck and shoulders, an emotional weight. Letting go of that burden, my back feels better. I stand taller. My sciatica is relieved, and I no longer clench my teeth while sleeping. Not too much anyway. These once ailments are now signs. I appreciate them. Yeah, so I do clench my teeth every now and then when I'm sleeping, but it's a sign that something needs to be addressed, right? There's some emotional thing going on behind that. So what happened when I took the practice from the mat and applied it to listening? Rather than resisting distraction, I learned to pay attention with ease. Instead of adding more tactics, I've moved to a state of wonder. I'm closer to the source. I wonder why I don't listen. I'm curious. Why am I always in my head? What am I afraid of? Wait, what did I just say? What am I afraid of? I'm not sure why I was so surprised to get to fear. That's a natural place to arrive when letting go of resistance. But there I was, wondering what I was afraid of. The answer came in a flood. I must be afraid of forgetting. I'm holding on to my words because I'm afraid of losing them. Oh, this opened the dam. I'm worried I'll forget an awesome idea that could become my greatest essay ever. I fear embarrassment. I might say something foolish. Instead of listening to your story, I'm conjuring up my response. I resist forgetting, and the pain manifests as distraction. I told all this to Abby, um, and she challenged me. She said, not listening is one of your greatest strengths. It protects you. I've seen people want to pick a fight with you, and it just rolls off like nothing. She's right. Lack of attention is a fortress I've built to protect myself. Sometimes it's good to be inside the protective gates. But instead of installing security cameras to see the outside world, when I want to listen, I need to lower the drawbridge. I need to forget with ease. Listening is vulnerable. Love forgetting. This didn't happen overnight. I didn't immediately become enamored with forgetting. But holding this thought without judgment continued to open up a cascade of self discovery. I recalled an emotional moment I had with my grandfather. I might have been 10 years old when he gave me a chilling warning about the Alzheimer's he could feel coming. It's a dark story that I'm not going to tell today, other than to say it's no wonder I'm afraid of forgetting. Um, but you know what? Love forgetting started to sound different over time. It sounded like anything is possible. I love anything is possible. Yoga teaches non attachment. I realized I was partial to my past words instead of being open to the infinite future words. When I stopped fearing forgetting, new ideas started pouring in like drinking water from Niagara Falls, looking up. I loved forgetting, and creativity exploded. I wasn't scared to lose my words, and I listened to yours. The best part, I remembered. Thank you for listening. Um, so that's where the essay ends. It's been incredible. I gotta say, I wrote this, wow, May 15th. So, just a little bit over a month ago. And I have become such a better listener. And just on this last business trip that I took to Boston, I was in an absolute chaotic situation where I was in a conference room and there was just chaos going on. And this is an environment that I usually have a really hard time listening in. It's hard to focus on anything, and I just like hear noise. But on this particular trip, I could hear with like perfect clarity the things I wanted to hear. The two people having a conversation over there and the two over there that I wanted to hear those conversations, and I heard them with extreme clarity. And I don't know when my listening went from unable to hear in chaos to hearing with such great clarity. But I have to think that this whole concept of loving, forgetting, and loving the things that I fear has been a huge help, a huge transformation. And I'm working on another essay right now. Today, just this morning, I was writing an essay about, I think my biggest fear is abandonment. And I've got one coming up. I don't know when it's going to publish. I'm not sure when I'm going to read it here on Authbition. But right now, I'm practicing kind of the same thing. Like, I love being abandoned. It's great. You know, what's what's the upside of being abandoned? Again, like, hey, anything anything is possible. If you think about it, it just starts to open up possibilities. It just disarms it and you can find out what's behind it. Wait, what am I afraid of? Why am I resisting that? And it turns out there's a pretty cool, deep story behind it that I uncovered while writing it. So you get to hear that one in the future. Um, Thanks for being here. If you like what I'm doing, I would love to hear from you. I want to know why, what I could be doing better, what you'd like me to be doing different. If you don't like it, I'd also love to hear from you. Please share it. I do want this podcast to grow, and I really need your help to be able to do that. And health, happiness, kindness, respect for every being and all things. Namaste.